A reading from Matthew 28, verses 1 to 10. Now after the Sabbath, toward the dawn of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. And for fear of him the guards trembled and became like dead men. But the angel said to the woman, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come, see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples that he has risen from the dead, and behold, he is going before you to Galilee. There you will see him. See, I have told you." So they departed quickly from the tomb, with fear and great joy, and ran to tell his disciples. And behold, Jesus met them and said, "Greetings." And they came up and took hold of his feet and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee, and there they will see me." I wonder what those women were expecting to find as they made their way to the tomb on that first Easter morning. They would have no doubt have anticipated that they would have difficulty getting the stone away from the entrance. The stone, after all, was there to stop animals getting in amongst the dead bodies. It was heavy. That was the point of it. And then if they'd managed to get that stone away, and if they'd managed to go into that dark and dingy and gloomy interior, then they would have anticipated seeing Jesus' body. Jesus' body, which had been whipped and lacerated before it was even crucified. That body which had had the crown of thorns pushed down upon its head and blood trickling from it. That body which was pierced in the side by the lance as the centurion, or at least the soldiers there, were seeking to prove that Jesus was after all dead. It was a much pierced body. It was a body of somebody they had loved. It was a body of somebody that they had followed. It would have been a gruesome ordeal. I'm sure there was plenty of trepidation with those women as they made their way to the tomb. But they did. They persevered nonetheless. They didn't know that the resurrection was about to occur or even had occurred by the time they'd set out. They didn't know that Jesus wouldn't be in that tomb. They didn't know that this was a day that would be remembered for thousands of years thereafter. They were simply expecting to find the bloodied and mutilated body of their friend. They were simply trying to do one final act of gracious love for him by wrapping his body in the spices, by tending to it. That was what they were about. But their persistence paid off. They had persisted all through Jesus' ministry. They had been there at the time of crucifixion. They had stayed with Jesus through those long years. They had persevered and had carried on, even when Jesus' popularity waned and as his crucifixion took place. And that persistence is a great model of discipleship. After all, do we not read in Proverbs, "I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently find me"? It's that seeking diligently which was modelled by those women who came to the tomb. And as a reward for that diligence, well, they experienced firsthand the resurrection. They met with the risen Christ. They were tasked with giving the news, the great news, the glad news to the disciples. And those apostles were sent out to spread the word of Christ's resurrection. But those women were those who went to call the apostles. What an extraordinary gift they had to meet with that risen Jesus, to experience and to encounter him in that way, to be the first witnesses of the resurrection. Might we also adopt that as a model of what it is to be a disciple, to persist, to seek him diligently. That is one of the many, many great messages of Easter and of the risen Christ, that those who still seek him still encounter that self-same risen Christ. Amen.